The moment Rachel looked me in the eyes and quietly asked me to drive somewhere no one would recognize us. Every alarm inside my head went off. She wasn't just my wife's closest friend. She had been part of our family for nearly 15 years, laughing at our dinner table, celebrating birthdays, and standing beside us through life's biggest moments. Her voice trembled in a way I had never heard before, and as she climbed into my truck outside a grocery store in Charleston, South Carolina, I realized whatever was about to happen could change more than one life forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances still have the power to change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a thoughtful comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us humanity is still alive. I am Nathan, 46 years old, and until that afternoon my life had been wonderfully ordinary. My wife, Rebecca, and I had been married for 20 years. We trusted each other completely, and Rachel had always respected that boundary. She was the dependable friend everyone admired, the one who never missed church on Sundays, volunteered at the community pantry, and somehow remembered everyone's birthdays. Seeing fear written across her face was something I never imagined. She asked me to drive toward an old fishing pier nearly 40 minutes outside the city. The road grew quieter with every mile, lined with tall oak trees draped in Spanish moss. Neither of us spoke much. I kept wondering whether Rebecca knew about this meeting, whether someone was sick, or whether our family was facing news too painful to imagine. My mind raced through every possibility, except the truth. When we reached the empty pier overlooking the calm Atlantic water, Rachel remained silent for nearly a full minute. The wind carried the smell of salt across the weathered wooden boards, as pelicans floated over distant waves. Finally, she handed me a thick envelope. Inside were medical bills, foreclosure notices, and several rejection letters from banks. Tucked beneath them was a faded photograph of an elderly couple standing beside a small farmhouse. Rachel explained that they were her parents, Samuel and Grace. Her father had recently suffered a severe stroke that left him unable to work, while her mother had quietly exhausted every dollar of their savings caring for him. Rachel had spent nearly everything she owned trying to keep them afloat, but now she had reached the point where she couldn't even afford another month of their mortgage. The reason she had asked me to come alone wasn't because she wanted to hide anything improper. She couldn't bear letting Rebecca know how desperate things had become. Rebecca had recently left her teaching job to recover from surgery, and Rachel refused to place another burden on someone who had already sacrificed so much. She knew I handled our family's finances and hoped I might simply point her toward someone who could help before her parents lost the only home they had ever known. I drove home carrying far more than an envelope. That evening, I looked across the dinner table at Rebecca, who smiled through her own physical pain, and I realized true friendship sometimes hides its greatest struggles behind the brightest smile. I gently told her everything. Rebecca didn't become angry that Rachel had spoken with me first. Instead, tears filled her eyes because she understood exactly why Rachel had remained silent. Pride often convinces good people they must carry impossible burdens alone. The following weekend became something neither Rachel nor her parents could have imagined. Friends from church organized a community fundraiser. Local businesses donated supplies to repair the farmhouse. A retired attorney volunteered to negotiate with the lender, buying precious time before foreclosure. Rebecca created an online campaign sharing Samuel's decades of volunteer work, never asking for pity, but reminding everyone how one man's kindness had quietly blessed countless neighbors over the years. Within 3 weeks, donations arrived from complete strangers across the United States. Some gave $50, others sent handwritten letters promising prayers. A construction company repaired the leaking roof without charging a cent. A local rehabilitation center offered discounted therapy sessions for Samuel after hearing his story. Every act of compassion became another brick rebuilding a family's hope. Watching Rachel visit her parents after the community saved their home remains one of the most unforgettable moments of my life. Her mother embraced neighbors she had barely known before, while Samuel, unable to speak clearly after his stroke, simply placed his hand over his heart and smiled through grateful tears. No speech could have expressed more. Months later, Rachel finally admitted something that stayed with me forever. She said she hadn't asked me for money. She had only asked me for direction because she was losing faith that anyone would still care. What changed her life wasn't one generous check. It was discovering that kindness multiplies when one honest person is brave enough to tell the truth. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and share one act of kindness that changed your life or someone else's. Your story may become the encouragement another viewer desperately needs today. As life slowly returned to normal, Rebecca often reminded me that the drive to that quiet fishing pier wasn't really about secrecy. It was about trust. Rachel believed someone would listen without judging her, and because she reached out before giving up, an entire community found the opportunity to become the answer to a family's prayer. If this story moved you, please support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with friends and family, subscribing for more inspiring stories, and leaving your thoughts below. Sometimes, the greatest miracles don't begin with extraordinary people. They begin with one difficult conversation, one open heart, and one simple decision to believe that no one should ever have to carry life's heaviest burdens alone.